Hi, it's Linda with CreativePLR.com. Today we're getting ready for the back to school market. We're going to get some products ready to sell in either our shop, whether it's Etsy, Shopify, or our own website. And the first thing I'm going to look at is task cards. Task cards are some kind of job that a teacher or a homeschool mom gives a kid for practice. And they're individual cards. In this case, there's 4 on a page. I personally sell 4 on a page unless I'm doing them digitally. If I'm making a digital a product, for instance in Google Slides or Google Forms, I will do 1 task card on a page. However, you don't typically sell 1 on a page because teachers like to save money and they want to get 4 on a page so they can print them out and cut them. Now, you can do these for a variety of things. Today, I did them to show you you could do accounting cards. You can, how many fish, and kids would count the fish. Task cards do not have a back to them. In another video, we're going to look at flashcards. Flashcards usually have a back to them. You hold the flashcard up, it has a problem on one side or a question on one side and the answer on the other. With task cards, they do not have a back to them, so typically a teacher would print out this page and then laminate them or not and cut them apart, and you'd have 4 cards. So you could do how many redfish, and kids would count how many redfish there are, and either tell the teacher or tell the homeschool mom, or in many cases they would have a worksheet where blank worksheet, and these would be numbered. And we can put a number on them by going to insert shapes. And I always like a little round or a little oval there. And then you would fill it with typically white. And, even though I have this thing against the outline, I do like the outline when it's something like this. And so then I would put 1 on there. And I would also change my font color. Oh, maybe I'll change it to blue, and then I can bump it up a little bit. So they don't have to have a number on there, but they usually do when you're selling them. And then you would have a corresponding answer sheet. Maybe not for this one, this is pretty elementary, but you would have an answer sheet if you had something a little more complex or difficult. And you might, on your answer sheet, it would just be like 1 page with a table on it, and you would say, how many fish, and this one's 3, how many redfish, 1, 2, 3, 4, this would be 2, 3, 4, and you could put purple fish on there, you could put green or yellow fish. The yellow fish wasn't a very pretty color, that's why I turned it green. And so this is how you make them. This is an 8.5 by 11 inch paper set up. I put grid lines. Now, if you've never used grid lines, and some of you have better eyes than I do, you can eyeball it and get them right on, but I get a little crazy if they're not perfect. And so if you go to View and you say Guides, now if you do grid lines, what you do is you have like little boxes all over. That tends to confuse me a little bit. So I have my guides on there, and then if I want another guide, it's usually they start you with one horizontal and 1 vertical line, and you can just go up there and you can say add a vertical line, and you notice that didn't work. Add a horizontal line. I get my vertical and my horizontal mixed up. And then you can just go down there, and you can put it anywhere you want. So I put a margin here for so that it doesn't go into the margin. And I put 1 down the middle on each, the horizontal and the vertical both. And then I'm going to put my shape inside of here. Basically, let's go back and look at it. Basically what I did was I created a shape, and it's a white shape, and you don't have to have it white, you can have it any color you want. So I'm going to put a shape, and I'm only going to put 1 there. Insert shape, and it's a rectangle, and I like to start at the outside corner and then end just before the middle so that I have a little gap. That's so the teacher can cut it out. This is the first policy of a classroom. You never, ever, 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 ever let kids cut out anything, unless the whole lesson is about cutting and cutting on lines. That's a different story. But if you're trying to get some kind of content for the kids, you don't let them cut them out themselves. Even at high school, they'll take an hour to cut out 4 cards because they'll have to trim them like they're, surgeons. And so I do one shape and I get it just the way I want it, and I'm going to fill this one with white. And this is another time I leave the outline on there because it's white. If I took the outline off, I wouldn't be able to see where it was. And once I get the shape the right size that I like, I go out and I line it up with my outside corners here, and then I just copy it to all four sides. Now, we're also going to add some kind of border. You could do as simple as adding, I think that's it. And so I have, no, this one's over the line. And so you could add something as simple as, another rectangle and, or an oval or something like that. I like these little shapes here. And so all of that is just a frame, that I made in Photoshop. And now it's not going to show. It's not going to show because it's a white frame on a white background. So the reason that I used a shape is so we can go in and we can use some paper. You know how I love to use paper. And we can use some paper from a file, and I can use some of my school paper. And now that the school paper is there, you can see that frame really well. And I can go, and I like using different colors paper. So we can go and picture, and it's going to go back to that same file because that's where I've been copying paper from. I don't know what this paper is, but let's look at it. Okay, I still don't know what it is. I suspect I know. And when you have that paper and it's too small an area to look at, you can click on it and you can tile that picture so that you get a normal size. Oh, that's our globe, our world globe. And then you can just copy the frame over. This I do eyeball because it's a little bit easier for me to see. And so I just place it. But you notice that once you get your guidelines set up, it does give me the crosshair when it's lined up in the center. So if that's important to you, and normally it's important to, and then you can do that with all four corners. Now, so you don't have to use a frame like that. You can use anything that makes you happy, and then you can put anything that you want on there. Typically, a task card is different from a flashcard in that it has one problem or one idea, one thought on it. And students would get a whole bunch of these. I sell the blank ones in sets of, I don't know, 12 or 24, something like that. Usually you can have the same design on each one. You could have different designs, whatever makes you happy. And so you can sell the blank ones, or you can sell some that already have some kind of problem on there. You could do a math problem. I'm a math teacher, so I like to do math problems. But I'll take it easy on you this morning, and I won't do any calculus, because that would, and so you could just say, 2, and I'm going to use times 4. Okay, so, for elementary grades, they should be working on their times table. I say should because I'm not sure they do that anymore. But if you're an elementary teacher, you can let me know. I also don't use, this is a pet peeve of mine. In the old days, we used to do this. Okay, but that's very confusing for kids when they get to high school to figure out when we have x, 2x equals 10, and they have to solve for x, and then they look at the x and they say, well, that's multiplication. It's not multiplying anything, so the answer must be 0. So that gets very confusing for them. So I just use that symbol for multiplication, and that's what they use in the higher grades. So you can do that. You can actually make it a counting card without doing anything else. You could just add a whole bunch of these fish on here, or anything else. And if you're saying like, well, I don't know where to get colored fish. Okay, you've got colored fish. Where do I get colored fish? Well, one place you can get fish, or actually anything else you want, you can go over here, insert icons, and I'm willing to bet, that's not where I got my fish, but I'm willing to bet if you type in fish, it's very slow since I'm recording, if you type in fish, I'm willing to bet that, look, here's some fish for you. And I like that one a lot. I like that one too, but there's already 2 fish there. And so you could have a fish there. And if you want to make it color, remember we're talking about it's a graphic now. It's not actually a picture, and so we can go into graphics format and say fill, and I can make it any color I want. There's green fish. Okay. So you could just fill this up with fish, dogs, cats, whatever. Or you could write a sentence. The hat is red, and have kids point. You could put down some hats down here and have kids point to the red hat, or you could number the hats. So I hope this gives you some idea on making task cards. You can either make them completed with a frame, or you could make them filled in with the problem. So there's two ways you can sell them. You sell these on Teachers Pay Teachers. You sell them on Etsy. If you want to do full page borders like we've done with our journal pages, 8.5 by 11, and you could make some kind of paper that's colored on there, and then you just make this page size, and then you have a pretty frame for that, so you can sell those too. I hope this was helpful, and you start making some task cards soon.